We look through our window into this moment in time. Tonight, we find the fates of our 6 champions and what waves will be formed by their thrashing in our river of time. Here, we find our story beginning to unfold as 2 halves of our heroes are to become one again, rejoined by fate. A man of faith, searching for answers. A dragon who hungers for power and knowledge. A halfling emerged from his slumber awakened. A man confused to his part in this chaos. A champion of death itself, enacting his divine instruction, and a tabaxi unsure of his surroundings and his fate. The dull gray light reflecting off of your faces, emitting from the pillar of dark gray energy, you feel a ghastly chill envelop each of you. Whispers of doubt creep into your ears, otherworldly voices. And Sterark and Luvash, you feel this even deeper chill beginning to take hold of you. Your heartbeat begins to slow, and your vision begins to blur. Sound around you begins to get softer and softer. The rest of you watch as their veins turn pitch black, visible through their skin and fur. Both of you are poisoned, blinded, and deafened. What do you do? This is a general question for everyone. We're in this.
I'm gonna perception check.
Make a perception check.
All right. Specifically, like I kind of want it to be a not general thing. I want to be focusing on the stuff that just appeared. So Kalos, I want to perception check him if possible, and then also the pillar that you mentioned.
Then make an Arcana check instead.
Arcana. Okay. That is a 19.
You recognize this type of magic. It's otherworldly. Sort of similar to your own, but a different flavor, so to speak.
Okay.
You can tell that something about the way Kalos arrived doesn't seem to line up with what was said by this black-antlered figure. And that this pillar of light, you said 19?
Yeah, 19.
You needed to be an 18 to get that one. Is a doorway. And the way that you recognize that is that around the edges of the pool, you see these sigils and glyphs that look to be shattered or partially destroyed. And because you're so intensely studying this and that specific portion, you also begin to see first, before anybody else, that this bit of small bubbling underneath the surface of this opaque cylinder is beginning to just barely, almost like water boiling on the surface, very subtly.
Okay. Using the earring, I'm going to relay this information to Emery as quickly as possible. I don't know if events will occur before I could finish spouting all that out, but the gist of it being a doorway and that.
I'm gonna look for exits.
The only entrance and or exit to the room was the one that you entered in and is behind you.
Okay, I'm gonna motion towards Nervek and start slowly walking my way out.
Okay, when he does this, I'm gonna look at the group, and I take it that Uvash and Starark are not moving whatsoever.
No, you can see the where their veins would be running through their body, even past the fur. You can see that there's some sort of arcane lining to it. And you've seen that their eyes have been completely encased by this almost darkish color, this darkish gray color, and that they are just still.
Okay. Cornelius, give me a hand, and then I'm gonna try and pick up Luvash and try and leave.
Cornelius, you are still kneeling in the pool, which you guys can no longer see Cornelius, as the opaque cylinder has enveloped him.
Okay, calling that out, and then
Another thing about or what's around you, just because I know it's been a while since we've done this, there is the rest of the circle of druids that this was, that are just pressed up against the walls in their flowing white and gold robes, with their slightly bluish tinted skin just pressed up against the walls, some of them trembling, others just gazing in the awe or fear, you can't quite tell. Not really making a motion, and where the black antlered figure was, above the center of the pool, has also been completely enveloped by the pillar.
Might I ask where am I positioned from last time?
You stepped forward on one of the petals of the black rose that had grown from the seed, and you stepped to the edge of the pool towards Starark. So you're not in the pillar.
Okay.
I'm gonna yell at the priests. Hey, grab them! We need to get out of here.
Make an insight check.
$12.
You can tell that there is something magical in affecting their decision making currently. Make a straight intelligence check. Not an arcana check, it's straight intelligence.
13.
You would know that certain entities of great power exude a presence that can affect the mindsets of the people around them, and you not experiencing you experienced this once before in the presence of the black antlered man, and they have fallen under the effect of his frightening presence. It's similar to the way that red dragons have that thing that they do.
I'm going to attempt to move Luvash, whether that would be like trust fall style, dragging him or picking him up, whichever. I'm just going to attempt to move him towards the way we came.
Who is touching me?
It's me. It's Nervek.
Who is touching me? And he starts to reach out with his paws, just reaching, trying to grab a face. And it's at that point that you can see with the frantic looking around that you can tell he's blind, and he's not responding to you, so he's deaf as well.
I'll reach out and just try and like hold his hand.
Okay.
He is going to make a claw attack against you.
Okay.
You take 3 points of slashing damage from his claws.
Okay.
He just slices you.
2 quick questions here.
Okay.
Would the fact that I have divine health help me out here? Because it makes me immune to disease.
It is not technically a disease. It is because of something else. If you'd like, you can either make a medicine or a religion check, actually.
I mean, I'd love to go for that religion check. See what's going on here. Religion or medicine, you had said?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and see. Straight 10.
You're not sure what it is, but it is not a disease. You are not diseased. It happened suddenly.
After I see this display, Luvash, attacking, can I make, and not knowing and responding, can I make an insight check to see if I know what's going on here? Oh yeah, he's blind.
Make a history check.
Ooh, okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah, well, that's going on. Second little question was the lay on hands can neutralize poison.
Yes, you have the poisoned
that's-
quality or not poisoned. It's a little weird like that. It's all things at once. It has the effects of these things, but they don't have the title.
That's
Go for it.
That's an unnatural 20.
You recognize this. You remember it from back in Castle Eleanor in Lenara's torture room / workshop when they were implanting shade worms. This is what happened to them once the shade worms were activated. And very soon after, the worms exploded from the inside and killed their host, enveloping them.
All right.
If you remember that.
Yeah, that's a good thing to remember.
This was the precursor moments before that happened. You have maybe 5 minutes.
I am going to just outwardly say to just everybody in the room. Okay, so I've seen this before, and yeah, this isn't looking good. Because the time that I did see this, it was back in Eleanor,
and you are cut off as the mist that was beginning to bubble. Actually, Nervek, make an athletics check to try and just pull Luvash.
Sounds like a plan.
It's because you were doing that the whole time that everything else is going on.
That is a 21.
Yeah, you begin to drag him towards the door against his will, being wary of his claws. And you watch as bursting forth, almost like a bubble of blackened thick fog or mist, just explodes outward and begins to envelop the chamber.
Ooh.
From the pillar. So
I'm gonna die.
And in this initial burst, you can actually see into it almost leaves about a 5 foot by 5 foot diameter hole in the pillar for just a moment as the edges begin to creep and close in. You can see through it as you turn around, Kalos, and Emery, you're peering through as well, I assume. You can see Cornelius just on his knees, clutching his chest and looking with his head pointed up and his eyes closed, and you can see this sigil on his forehead, this little whitish rune just hovering about maybe 2 or 3 inches from his forehead, as small, minuscule, mist-like humanoids begin to crawl and pull their way up his body. What do you do?
Sterak is gonna dive for where Kalos was.
Make a history check.
I saw this coming a mile away.
Yeah.
But you're blind.
I was gonna say, saw this coming.
21 unnatural.
Okay. So, yeah, you remember where his position was. He hasn't shifted too much, and you just wildly move out. I won't make you attack, make a roll with disadvantage or something for it.
And as soon as I feel anything, I'm just gonna lay on hands.
For everything?
Everything.
Okay. How much does he get back?
25.
Oh, dang.
So, bursting forward, this dull but still kind of light gray energy just hits you like a hammer across the chest and crawls its way into your skin, and you can feel some of the necrotic weight of the spell that was cast on you before begin to feel lifted, and you begin to feel rejuvenated as this chill sort of... It's almost... you get that same feeling of like chewing 5 gum, if that makes sense.
Oh my god.
More
Across
like
your chest.
eating mint
Like-
gum
like-
and drinking water.
Something like that, yeah. That cold feeling, but still feels good.
Ooh.
I'm gonna cast Ray of Frost on Cornelius.
Okay. He's standing still and is considered stunned, so you don't need to roll. You fire it off, and you watch as this yellowish barrier deflects it. And this barrier is in the shape of an angelic figure that only appears for the moment that the Ray of Frost strikes and then fades away after. You can see that he is protected by something.
All right. I'm gonna
Point-
go ahead and
Hold on. Point of order.
Yeah.
When you look inside the pillar, you do not see the gentleman.
I'm gonna set Luvash down and hustle over to the pillar. And I'm gonna on my way shout, "Cornelius, can you hear me?" As I'm doing that, I'm gonna untie/buckle my my chain, the chain of Lyricae, so it's like at full length. Then does he hear me at all, or does he react?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, yikes. Heck. I'll swing the one end of the chain at what looks like the doorway, and just to see if it penetrates.
It does. It does fly through what's left of the hole that is slowly closing itself.
All right. Heck.
It doesn't. It gets through the pillar, but it doesn't. It doesn't get close enough to
Yeah.
see that barrier.
All right. I'm gonna.
As a matter of fact, before we continue forward,
Yeah.
Cornelius, since the beginning of all of this, the moment that you were cleansed of your shade worm by the high druid, you immediately felt this rush of light just completely envelop your being, dropping you to your knees. And we now look into this as the bright light begins to fade away until you see this angelic figure with wings tucked in against the back, still several feet arching above her head. She extends an arm down towards you, silently. In this space, you are no longer inside of the chamber you were in before, you're somewhere else.
I'll bow my head and reach towards her hand.
As you reach forward and the hands meet, you feel just almost as if electricity runs all the way through you. And a symphony of music played by these bubbling bursts of light exploding all around you. You then recognize the space you're in. It's the space with which you speak to her. And as you are in this space, she holds up a single finger. And this has significance to you. It means you can ask her one thing. And usually your conversations just drag on, but There is an intensity in her gaze.
Something tells me that all is not right. Is she usually this intense?
No, she has never been this intense with you before.
What would you have me do?
Awaken. And everything around you fades, and the rest of you watch as the sigil that's floating just slightly above the forehead of Cornelius just flies back into his head. And this thin veil of yellow light is just protruding off of his body as he rises up off of his knees, and his irises are completely gone as he opens his eyes. Instead, it's just a film of yellowish energy. You have all of your spell slots restored. You're at maximum health. It's almost as if you took a long rest.
And I'm going to assume that I'm just taking in everything all at once now.
Yes, everything all at once. You see a doorway beginning, a circle starting to close as your connection to the rest of them. You look around and you see these small humanoid figures crawling up your body, but as the light shines off of you, it makes them just disintegrate.
Where's everyone else in the room?
They're on the outside of the column, and the column entrance is beginning to close.
Is anyone else near me, or am I the last one?
You're the last one in the column. You're the only one in the column.
I'm gonna stick my arm through it, like as a grab my hand type of thing, like we gotta get going.
So if there's no one else, I'm gonna go for that arm. I'm getting out.
You reach forward. Well, there's nobody else with you in the column. In the chamber, you see everybody else. You reach forward and you clasp hands, and Nervek, you feel this light just completely fly through your whole body, and you feel this burning intensity. It hurts a lot.
I'm gonna grit my teeth and get her done.
You pull him through and you wade through this inky, sort of sticky, tar-like pool of liquid underneath you that's has these tar-like humanoids similar to the ones in the mist trying to just keep you in the pillar as it closes, but you pull your way through with the help of Nervek. And as you pull through, Nervek, you let go immediately, and you look at your hand. It is not burned. There's no burn markings. You just felt so faint in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of you see Cornelius now.
Blind.
Yeah, well, obviously not you or Luvash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here, but Luvash and Starark are not in good shape, and I think it'd be best if we got the hell out of here.
Yes, that's just what I was gonna say. We only have like a couple of minutes until they die. That's the thing.
And as you're having this conversation, you hear screaming and yelling from the hole that the column created as it tunneled its way through the earth, heading back up towards the battlefield, coming from above. It does not sound like the sounds of war anymore. It sounds like terror and chaos.
You said you saw this before. You know how to fix it?
Do I?
No.
I thought as much. I'm gonna shrug and say, I have no clue.
Well, what's causing it?
It is those worm things from back at the inn, you know?
No, I don't.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Nervek wasn't there.
Yeah, I know.
You say it's a worm?
Cornelius, what do you do? In the midst of all this chaos, what is the first thing you do? You see the states that Luvash and not Cornelius, Therak are in.
And I'm supposing I'm seeing one half of the group on one side of the room leaving, and then Stark and Kalos on the other end by themselves.
Essentially. Nervek's in the middle.
And Stark is, I'm guessing, a bit hysterical and just kind of
Silent, sitting there. You see the blackened veins through the skin. The clouded eyes.
Now, I don't know, I wasn't present when the Shade Worms took their effect and killed people, but I do know what the Shade Worm is.
You do.
Is there a way that I know of that I could possibly cleanse it? Is it a curse? Is there some sort of magic I can dispel? Is it something I could use restoration on?
You can try any of the above. You don't know.
Oh, I was about to say, would I know if any of those would work?
No. They seem to have the multiple symptoms of blindness, deafness, and you can see that their body is moving very sluggishly. And just because of your passive knowledge of medicine, you can tell that they also seem to be poisoned, but these things aren't lining up with anything that you're aware of.
I remember the last time I tried to use Lesser Restoration, I was in a Magic Dead Zone. And it did not work.
But you are not here.
Well, I'm going to try to reach towards the half of the group that isn't bunched up and leaving. I'm going to reach towards, I'm guessing Stark is closest to me.
Yes.
I'm going
Right
to
next to you.
attempt a Lesser Restoration as
That
I
has the
approach him.
range of touch, right?
Yes.
As you put your hands on Sterark, before you even cast Lesser Restoration, you watch as the darkened veins glow yellow, and Sterark, everything is removed from.
Cornelius?
Stark, let's take Kalos and we gotta leave. And
Yeah,
I'll
forget
motion
about
towards
that
the rest
one.
of the group.
He's still not in good shape. Pointing over.
Can I reach Luvash from here?
Yeah, you can run over.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do the same to him.
You touch him and the same thing happens.
All right, wonderful. Now let's get the hell out of here.
I'm gonna scoop up Kalos.
Oh.
Kalos wants uppies.
Yeah, Kalos wants uppies. At this, also, Kalos is gonna say, I'm so happy you're better. I was very worried about you. You could have died.
And as you are gathering together to leave, you watch as the angelic figures that were bunched up against the walls have all turned their gaze in the direction of your group. And you can see now, actually, Emery,
Yes.
what were you watching that whole time that was going on? Cornelius, I assume. Make a perception check.
Okay. 16.
You watched as in their state of fear and this just stun, mist-like humanoids crawling out of the fog that is pooling on the floor of the chamber crawled up their body and in through their mouths, and you watched as the skin began to stretch and contort as its new inhabitant pushed its way in. And they all turn to look at you now, possessed by these mist creatures. You have one action.
I'm gonna yell run and then cast a an ice bolt at them, or a ray of frost. There you go.
You can choose one target. Luvash immediately recognizes the danger in the situation, having no sympathy for any of these things. Draws his bow, knocks an arrow, and is going to also attempt to shoot at one. What's everybody else doing?
I will summon the Mace of Lyricae to one hand, and then fire off an Eldritch Blast with the other.
Okay. All of you begin to bunch up towards the door as you were beginning to leave, and 3 of you turn around, taking up the space at the doorway, and those of you who were on the other side, Cornelius, Sterark, and just Cornelius and Sterark,
Well, I mean,
and Kalos as well. Yeah, you were being carried by
Kalos
Sterark.
by proxy.
Yeah.
You, on the other side, you see the guide who led you to this chamber, completely unaffected. What is going on?
A whole lot of not good. We need to go.
And go ahead and make attack checks, you guys. I need it. I didn't want to get on Roll20 and look at his character sheet, though.
22.
I need to add stuff a second.
I was gonna say, somebody look at his character sheet, but you guys don't have access to that.
I got it
And
right
you're
here.
gonna have
He's
to
got-
get on Roll20 to give us permission to do that.
Nah.
He's got 50s and everything. He's a god.
Let's get out of here, gang.
Total of 11.
11. They're not wearing armor, so their base AC is 10. Yeah, go ahead and throw damage, both of you.
10.
Ugh.
Let me just check something real quick.
Doesn't Ray of Frost damage increase with level?
It did.
That was just the
Yeah.
total?
Yep.
Okay, let's see. How many beams for my level? 2 beams? Okay, total of 14 damage.
And 19 damage from Luvash. Both Luvash and Nervek, you send your shots through. Your 2 beams slam into the chest and cause the figure to fall backwards into the about 4 inches of mist that are on the ground, about up to your ankles. And the creature pulls itself out of the body, and you can see that the body is now deceased.
Okay. So that's dead, correct?
Yeah, and then an arrow goes through the head of another, and then the Ray of Frost isn't quite enough to kill it, but it does land true. What do you guys do now?
I'm gonna try to leave.
Mhm.
I don't think this is one that we should stand our ground on.
Yeah, flee while
What?
we can.
What is going? Are you shooting my people?
There's a lot to explain. We need to go.
Not your people anymore.
The figure reaches out to try and push past you, and as a result of the tunnel being wide, but you guys are taking up a lot of it, has to try and shove through the both of you who are standing in front of him, Cornelius and Sterark. And as he touches you, Cornelius, that same sheen of light that is coming off of you reflects off of him, forming his own for a second before it fades, and he looks at you, and the mouth opens slightly, and there are no pupils in the eyes, but just with the way the face moving around, you can tell that they're looking around, fused, and then solidarity. This way, and turns around and leads the charge.
Okay.
We follow steadfast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the figure leads you through the tunnels, off of the multiple crossroads, heading back to the entrance in the ravine that you were at. And you run past that, and continue to get, unless you guys want to stop there and go up through that entrance, or want to keep following them.
Pass.
Yeah, we can follow.
I think we follow.
Mm-hmm.
I can lead you to the spot that we have, a normal entrance, and we can get a better view of what is going on. And continue running, and you can hear the sound of what sounds like very, very fast wind beginning to, like that howling noise mixed in with groaning and those whispers that you're constantly hearing of doubt. They tell you things like, All is lost. The end is near. Do not run. You cannot escape. They begin to get louder and louder. I assume you guys are at full dash speed and everything, right?
Mhm.
You have to put down Kalos, because otherwise your speed is halved. He has to run on his own.
Oh,
Run, little buddy.
I mean, I'm a little bit slower. Yeah, I only have 25-foot move speed.
Fuck it, you'll carry him then. He'll get left behind if you don't. I forgot.
Can two people like aid each other
Shoulder
carrying
run?
Sure.
Kalos
Sure.
and to maintain normal speed?
There we go. You got it.
He's on both our shoulders.
Looking over my shoulder behind us, do I see if any of the figures from before are following?
You don't see the figures, but you see mist-like humanoids with overstretched jaws that are warped and twisted in different angles, almost as if the face itself was warped in a cyclone, and all different types of disembodied or mutilated humanoids grabbing the edges of the cavern and using these claws, pulling themselves forward, frantically trying to get to you as quickly as possible as the thick gray mist follows behind you. And that was the sound that was getting closer.
Oh.
How far away are they, and are they gaining on us?
And I'm keeping
They are
that to
gaining
myself.
on you.
I'm just-
The sound gets louder as it gets closer. And they are gaining on you slowly, but they are gaining.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to just use an action surge so I can keep running, and then cast Spirit Guardians. And the group here, I'm going to have the unaffected.
So you leave the area of Spirit Guardians behind you to sort of try and act as a shield.
I think they just follow me, is the thing.
I think it's an aura.
Is it Spirit Guardians? I might be getting it mixed up with...
Range, self, 15-foot radius. So I believe
Yeah,
it
it's an
centers
aura.
on me.
Getting it confused.
Do you want me to roll damage now, and then when they get within 15 feet, just assign damage from there, or...?
This isn't the type of entity that can be damaged, so to speak.
Even from Radiant?
I was thinking about Guardian of Faith, might be.
Well, I wouldn't know that anyway, so I'm still trying.
Yeah, so, I mean, you'll see the effects of when they get within the radius. What do your Spirit Guardian... Oh, actually, I'll decide. You
Continue a
watch
link.
as these small armored sort of Valkyrie creatures about the size of pixies envelop a 15-foot radius and then expand into these translucent blue-skinned figures that kind of just hover with weapons drawn, shields and swords of light extending outwards.
Yeah, I'm just kind of running along with Starek, move and then dash. And then, as we're moving, I'm going to burn the action surge after that to do it,
Okay.
so I don't lose any movement.
Well, it's not quite combat. You just did it while you were running. It's fine.
No action surge.
No action surge. You can hold on to that.
Hooray!
Huzzah.
So as you continue running, you can see, well, rather you can hear before you see it, wind on the opposite side of you. That just sounds like natural wind. And the tunnels begin to take a steep incline going upwards until eventually you hit the inside of what looks like a tree, one of the gigantic trees of the Ebonwood. And there are just ropes all over the inside of it. It's basically hollowed out, and the interior is just walls of rope. The figure looks to you. How many of you are there? There are 6.
Yeah.
Check something really quick.
7?
No, there's 6 of you, 7 including the.
Oh.
Dialogue while I look this up.
So, you guys you've been with the fucking tree humpers, so, we supposed to climb? What's the game plan here? Is there a way
It's
out?
a rope. We climb.
So you're telling me you want to go up with no escape?
Well, do you see any other options? As, pointing up behind us.
Suppose not.
You might need to put me down for this, too.
What if I toss you up? Get a head start?
That might work.
I say as I put you just right next to the rope ladder. Eh.
And as you do so, yeah, that should work. I'm just making sure that all of you can be affected by this.
We'll start climbing in slow-mo.
No.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, yeah, that'll work. You watch as the figure walks up to the side of it, puts an arm through the ropes, and touches the bark itself. None of you speak. Actually, do any of you speak? I think it's Celestial.
You told me I couldn't.
Yeah, I don't think any of you actually speak Celestial.
Nope.
Okay, so you don't understand what is being said. Actually, Cornelius, in this moment you do. In this moment you do. In the state that you're in, you do. And the figure asks the trees to open a path in Celestial, which goes completely against what you know about druids. They speak in druidic when they cast their spells. But you watch as the tree twists and contorts, and through this dewdrop-like water between the wood of the bark forms this almost sliver-like doorway to a different place. And the figure says, "Now you must go through quickly."
What about you?
I must channel the spell. I will follow afterwards.
All right. Let's go.
And I think with that we will.
I'll be the last to go, just in case, because I'm the one with the damaging aura.
Okay. I mean,
Kalos has been put down,
yeah.
not killed.
Yeah.
Kalos the puppy has been put down.
I'm going to look there. I'm going to say, should I go first? Because, I mean, I might be the slowest.
I was under the impression that I started charging
I did
ahead.
too. Yep, I did too.
Oh, okay,
So you can
well,
follow.
yeah,
Can
that's
I
fine.
get a marching order?
I'll take point.
All right, right behind.
I guess I'll try to follow as closely behind as possible. Behind Stark, I mean.
I guess I'm fourth.
Then Luvash and Cornelius.
Yeah.
Okay, so you make your way through, and as you do so, you find yourself on the higher branches of one of the trees of the Ebonwood. And as you look back to make sure that everyone gets through, the figure does follow as well, and just as they do, one of the mist-like humanoids begins to pull itself through the portal as well, but the spell channel is dropped immediately, and the figure is crushed and just turns into this grayish green mist that dissipates.
And so once we're through the portal, you said we're on the top of the tree branches.
It's more like one really, really large one, because it's exaggeratedly huge.
Yeah. So if so I take it the path ahead of us is just continuing down or along the branch.
Yes.
Can we see anything now that we're at this elevation?
Make a perception check.
Can
I
I
use
get
my
advantage,
IQ?
like as with assistance?
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, whoever
I'd
wants
like
to make it
look.
with advantage.
I'd like to look as well.
I guess I'll just
Well,
make it with
if
advantage.
you
if we're
can
pooling,
make
I
it
think
advantage.
our cat friend would have the highest.
Nope, it was about who wanted to make the check.
Well, Starok suggested it, so
Mhm.
go for it.
Onwards we go.
Mm.
It's a 9.
Oh, with advantage?
Yeah,
Okay. I'll read my script anyway.
thank you. You had it prepared.
Yeah.
Nice.
As you look down at your surroundings, you realize you are near the battlefield. And you can see directly in the center of the battlefield is the large column of light. And as you gaze past it onto the horizon, you see two other similar pillars of gray light in the distance. As you gaze down on the battlefield from above, you see the scattered corpses of both high elves and wood elves. Banners of purples and greens, golds and silvers, splattered and stained with the blood of their bearers. The pillar of light stretching past the clouds, and on the horizon, as I said, you see two more in the distance. A thick black fog, similar to the one that had erupted from the base of the pillar, begins to crawl out. At the edges, the same misty humanoid shapes, frantically trying to pull themselves forward to get to the corpses the first. As the mist comes into contact with these corpses, you see them enter into them in a very similar fashion. And the horrifying twisting and contorting and warping of the skin as its new inhabitant calls it its own. And the dead begin to march towards the living, and chaos ensues. You are currently about 200 or so feet from the ground.
You got a way down from here, or what's the plan? Referring to the guide.
The figure is just looking on.
Well, I suppose that's a no, so we should, any of you fellas got a way to get us out of here? Or are we gonna end up like them?
I would, but I'm all out. Got nothing
I've
left.
got a way to get myself out of here. That doesn't help us.
Just a reminder, we did have the effects of a long rest.
Only Cornelius did.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood you. I apologize.
Didn't you say there was a tree branch that led downwards?
No, it
Ares?
just extended outwards in front of you, almost like a path.
It doesn't connect to anything? It's
No,
just there?
it's just a tree branch. There isn't any visible way down. What do you do?
What's the expression on the guide's face?
Horror and fear and worry. What are each of you doing currently? Uvash is looking around at the surroundings, looking for a way down.
I'm looking around trying to see which direction would be safest.
I'll try to reach out towards the guide.
Okay. Do you make contact?
I try to. Trying to touch their shoulder.
And as you do so, they look towards you and speak in Celestial. What do we do now?
I was hoping you did. Is there a way down from here that we can help?
My lord, you must leave. Must go.
Go where?
They should be here. The prophecy spoke of the dragons. The skies should be full of scales. The bells have not rung. Where are the bells? And the figure begins to look around frantically, and then speaks in common.
I was about to say, I'm assuming that I don't respond in Celestial?
No, you do.
Oh. So I was about to say the bells, and I was wondering if that would spark something. But if I'm Celestial, they wouldn't know.
The figure begins to look around and begins to speak. You five. Where are the bells?
Emery.
The prophecy must come to pass, or we will die.
You know what we have to do. I'm gonna pull out the bell from my within the armor. And I'm gonna look at Emery. And nod. And I'll ring the bell.
Sterak. As the bell chimes, it lets out a single, long, clear, resonating note. The world around you completely stops moving. The wind in the leaves of the trees comes to a standstill. Time still moves, but it passes at an achingly slow pace. And on the edge of your vision, Sterak, begin to see the world around you beginning to fade to white. And a figure begins to gingerly and gracefully step forward. A familiar face. Soft, brown hair, tumbling down to her shoulders. Her pointed ears slightly poking through. beautiful locks. As beautiful as the day you had first laid your eyes on her, she begins her gentle stride towards you. Graceful with her soft blue eyes like two lakes of pale frozen ice. Wearing a long flowing dress decorated and patterned with multiple stains and several colorings, she comes face to face with you, her coral lips meeting yours only for a brief moment before they part.
You need to remember, my light. Remember your promises.
And as she speaks, a small blue wormling crawls over her shoulder, and as you gaze towards it, she gently grasps it, placing it on your arms, and slowly, in this white space, everything begins to burn. The floor around you catches flame. You feel no heat, and she begins to walk away from you, being blown away by an unfeelable wind. And as you clutch this blue wormling, you hear a voice call out for you, barely audible over the loud crackling of the burning fires around you. You run towards the voice, and as you do, you run past the burning bodies of blue dragons of all sizes. And as you run past them, you hear your own voice against your will, calling out their names without your bodily control. You, in this moment, are a spectator to this vision. Each dragon you run past, you speak a name, presumably their name, and none of them move as they should at your call. The crackling blue lightning erupting from the fissures in the floor, as they always have in the Azure Conclave, are outmatched by the roaring flames. You continue to follow the voice as it calls out to you. You need to hurry to his side. Run! You must run! Otherwise they will find the bell and it will be over completely. You find him crushed beneath a large burning boulder in his humanoid form. Keel Gornath, brood father of the Azure Conclave, and by his side, a small, powder blue-haired girl, crying and clutching his hand. You speak her name out slowly. Ishta? She turns to look at you, holding the relic, the Azure Bell of Dragonkind. You hear Kilganath call you to him. And as you kneel down by his side, he reaches out to you with his one free hand and speaks. Follow her. Struggling to even breathe. Protect her. He is all that is left. And after a brief moment, the light leaves his eyes as searing hot pain shoots through your shoulder. You turn and draw your sapphire-studded rapier and immediately feel a sinking feeling in your stomach. A man with crimson red hair and red-scaled skin stands before you. Etiogosh, the Burning, with malice in his eyes. He clutches your shoulder, presses you down to your knees, and you begin to feel each and every one of your memories of this moment being stolen from you. You watch as a figure, a humanoid figure, with two circular white eyes, enveloped by shadow, with two stretching black antlers stand behind him. And as Itiogash's touch presses you down further and further to the ground, the years you had spent serving Kilgornoth during the Dragon Wars, the years you had spent attending parlays at the Commune of the Conclaves, but most importantly, the years you had spent with Ishta. The memory of her hatching goes first, followed by her first words, her first hunt, the memories of stargazing and storytelling. She always loved hearing your stories, all stolen away, one by one. And you hear the sound of soft laughter from the gentleman. And as all of this floods back into you, you look once again after blinking. You look to your side and you see Ishta run. She's running, her feet pattering against the floor of the cave, and carrying the blue bell. Flees for her life, and you watch as those same misty humanoids fly out of the coat of the gentleman in her direction, and all you remember is seeing her get enveloped and screaming. And with one final touch, you feel that sensation of burning leave your body. You look down at your skeletal hands as your vision begins to blur and fade. And the voice speaks once again.
Remember.
And the vision passes. Now, Emery, did you ring your bell as well?
Yes.
The two chimes fly outwards with invisible strings as the both of you feel these almost marionette strings extend outwards across the lands. You, Emery, hear a voice. Emery? Followed by the sound immediately of heavy wing beats. Sterark, you hear a voice as the string flies across the plains, flies over the city of Eladon, flies across the deserts, across the ruins of the city of Thetos, and into a small cave in the sandstone hills. And you hear a voice. Appa? And then it all comes back and you're in the moment, and both of you begin to see just on the edge of the horizon, first, a silver gleaming light as the sky begins to darken with the rising of these pillars. you see a massive silver dragon beginning to make its way towards you, and just past that, a much smaller, but still quite large, blue dragon headed in your direction as well. What do you do? Anybody? Something.
Okay, so do I recognize Pops? Because, I did see him that one time as a dragon.
They are a far ways off, but
Hmm.
what you do recognize is Sterark's bell.
Oh.
You remember seeing that too.
Oh, yeah. I do remember. I remember a lot.
I remember that bell.
Sterark, what do you do?
I watch. Waiting.
Emery,
I scan the surroundings.
make a perception check with advantage, because Luvash is constantly vigilant.
$21.
You look around and you watch as the mist-embodied corpses of the elves begin to overrun in just the quantities of corpses versus what was alive, as a massive battle between the constructs of the High Elves, the Griffin Riders, what was left of the infantry of both sides, the Spellbreakers, the Spellslingers, Spellblades, the Linemen, the Shieldmen, the Archers, the Druids, on both sides, begin to fight against the overwhelming undead. And as you continue to watch, you begin to see other creatures beginning to pull themselves out of the mist. And one such entity pulls its way through, and your heart sinks. You don't know why it does. You don't know what or who it was, but you see a ghostly mist embodiment of a very, very large copper dragon pull itself out. So, while you wait, you who were standing next to the guide, Cornelius, turn and see the guide vanish. Almost as if obliterated by something, turns into these small twists and bundles of ivy and flowers, collapsing to the ground, gone.
That's unsettling.
Uvansh turns, looks at all of you, and says, "We need to discuss what is going on here. What is happening? Do you two know?" and points at Nervek. Well, actually, 3. Sorry. No, just you two, Nervek and Emery.
Best I can figure is when we tainted that pool, we opened up a gateway to somewhere, and a lot of things are trying to get out, and now it appears we're forced to deal with the consequences. As for why the hell there are 2 dragons, dragons on the horizon, I ain't got shit.
3.
3 dragons.
And I point down at the dragon below.
Those friends of yours, or what?
And Kalos, as you're looking, eyes locked on the battlefield, you watch blue, leathery-skinned creatures with long, blue, leathery wings begin to fly out of the pillar as well.
Oh, are they like the ones that I saw like before?
Yes. They are aboleths.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
You guys have about 5 minutes before Ishta and Pops make their way to where you currently are.
Okay.
So what now? Do we just wait? Do we try to find a way down?
Well, I don't think waiting is probably the best idea, but the thing is, do we have any
They'll
other
come
choice?
here.
So those are your friends then? You know those dragons?
That is something that I was going to ask as well. Why are the dragons coming to us after those bells were rung?
And we're not trying to leave? These are friendly dragons? That one's blue. Chromatic.
I'm gonna speak up and I'm gonna say, yeah. They're friends. They're fine.
Oh, friendly blue dragon. Okay, wonderful. Great.
Yeah.
Good.
Not that I want to doubt anyone here right now, but how do we know?
That was my next question as well.
It wouldn't matter if they're friendly or not. The bells have the power to control them.
And how do you know that?
Because they wouldn't be coming here if we hadn't rung the bells.
I can gather that much. But what if they just call them to whoever rings it and then they kill us?
Well, I don't think that if they want to kill us, I don't think there's much we can do about it.
They won't.
Even if they wanted to, it's either we die to them or we die to the things below us. So,
Never been struck by lightning before, so that's a bright side, I guess.
it's not like you have much of a choice anyways.
They'll come here, and we will ride them down.
Down, I'd rather go away.
We have to put an end to this.
You do realize they're raising the dead, right?
Can I sneak a perception check in here?
Go for it.
I'm curious about if it looks like one side is winning the battle. That is a 21.
The undead are making corpses. Mist is filling those corpses and growing their numbers. And the other creatures that are pouring out are very, very quickly decimating the forces.
So just looking at the battle, would it be even remotely feasible that we could make a difference?
You don't know.
Where is Siatrian? Is he visible?
No, not from this height and this distance.
Are any of the elves at least trying to escape, or is this kind of like a last stand situation?
Some are running, some are fighting. You can see from this distance that all of the tabaxi on the Wood Elf side are just piecing the fuck out.
Alright, so obviously Cornelius doesn't know we have 5 minutes, but basing how the thing is going, how long would I be able to figure out how long the elves would be able to hold out?
Make a straight intelligence check.
That's a nat 1.
You have no fucking clue. How does Sterark look right now?
Dazed, with all the memories returning, hitting him all at once. It's a mixture of dazed determination. He's definitely looking real out of it, though.
Is it obvious he looks this way, or is he just putting on a strong face right now?
He's trying to put on a strong face.
I think everybody's passive insight sees through it, though.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, at that response, I'm gonna be like, so you want to run down there and fight all that when you look like this?
If we don't, something much worse is gonna come out.
Like?
And with that, by pure coincidence, you hear the sound of a massive creature just bellow. I need everybody to make a strength saving throw from the shockwaves of its roar. Somebody roll for Luvash as well, because I'm away
I
from
got a
things.
23 on mine.
Okay.
Not 20.
17 for me.
Want me to just throw a d20 for Lubash?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know his mods. So that was just 13 on that.
18.
What level, what proficiency bonus do you guys have?
We've got a
+4.
+4.
Oh, okay, so what did Luvash throw?
He threw a 13, so that would bump him up to a
19, I think.
Okay, with his strength mod and stuff.
Well, he is proficient in strength save because he's a fighter.
There we go.
Kalos, Sterark.
18.
Unnatural 20. Sorry, I forgot my mic was muted.
Okay. All of you are able to hold your ground, but you see just the shockwave flatten the grasses and even knock over a couple of the tremendous ebonwood trees that fall and crush the ground, causing earthquakes with their weight of the fall. Everything begins to rumble and shake, and then the roar kind of just fades out as it gets quieter and quieter.
Okay, then how do we stop that?
Point of order, you did not see what made this or where it came from. It was just loud and strong enough.
I'm speaking about the noise.
I'm going to look to him and I'm going to say, well, I mean, you haven't even seen it yet. I mean, it might not be that bad. I mean, you never know.
I'm pretty sure whatever it was just blew down trees. The size of cities.
Well, yes, and you can hear a grasshopper from your house. Or, not a grasshopper, what's that thing? The
Cricket?
Cricket. Yeah, that's it. I mean, you can hear a
Point me
cricket.
to a
from
cricket
home.
that blows down a house.
Yes, but I'm just making a comparison, noise to size-wise.
Well, regardless of what you're doing, I don't think we want to tangle with whatever made that noise.
That is also true.
Do you have a plan to close whatever is letting this thing through?
None whatsoever.
Then it seems the best course of action would be to retreat and regroup. Figure out what the hell's going on and crawl under the biggest rock we can find.
So how close are the dragons to us at this point?
About a minute off. You can see them in their full majesty now. I don't think either of them have a frightening aura. So, I think you guys are good on that end.
I don't know how long this is going to take, but what's this about a prophecy?
When a pillar of darkness shall rise, 2 chimes shall be heard, bringing hope across the land.
Well, I didn't think hope would look a lot like this, but guess that could be a loose interpretation.
Well, whatever this hope is, it certainly doesn't say it attacks the Pillar of Darkness.
That thing with the antlers. That thing wishes to bring the resurrection of something truly evil.
Are we talking a god or a fiend?
Not sure. All I know is if there's a way to stop it, we have to try.
Huge, heavy wing beats as the silver dragon makes its way, descending slowly onto the branches, barely able to keep its weight and size, begins to shift and morph as silver strands of some sort of fleece envelop in a cloud as Pops steps forward. This is a shock to you, Starark, and everybody else except for Emery and Kalos. For those of you who are unfamiliar with who Pops is, an old, haggard, long, white-haired figure with a very wrinkled face, a long, flowing white beard connecting to the hair, steps forward and makes his way past each of you towards Emery. Emery, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
What's going on?
The dead are rising? Not sure how to explain.
Sterark, you recognize the dragon. That's Mialdroirineth, the silver dragon, the leader of the Silver Conclave. You recognize him from your memories in the commune of the Conclaves, representing the Silver Dragons. That was over 2,000 years ago.
I'm going to go over and kneel down and say that name. Repeat it for me so I may, because that's a hell of a name.
It's a dragon name, yeah. Mial Ri Droneth.
Mjolnir. I apologize for not noticing earlier. It's an honor to be in your acquaintance.
Looks down at you. Slightly confused. I'm not sure where you heard that name. But if you are from the old times, you are welcome, friend. And he looks towards you again, Emery. I have seen this once before. We must leave so I may speak. And the rest of you just watch as this streaking blue blur flies in the direction this large blue dragon, not dwarfed by the size of the silver one, flies at high velocity towards Sterark, and then slowly, with lightning streaking off, and similar to the way the fleece left the manifest of the draconic form, a young girl with two small horns and powder blue hair lands directly in front of you, Sterark. At the side, pops. And is breathing heavy, looks directly at you with a mix of joy and tears and sadness and just a bunch of emotions all at once. And you look up and you see Ishta.
Really, really warm embrace. Straight into it.
And she just starts crying and crying.
You remember me? You remember me, don't you?
I'm so sorry to have ever forgotten you.
And she just squeezes you and she cries. What is everybody else doing?
I'm looking around, overwhelmed.
I mean, you recognize Mialdroirith, you recognize Ishta.
No,
I'm gonna
yeah,
take a
I know,
look
I mean,
back down to what's going down below.
The elves have been wiped out, and the ones that were alive, if there are any alive, aren't on the battlefield anymore.
What are the fog creatures doing?
Just going out in all directions.
Any towards us?
Not specifically that you can tell. Just radiating out from the circle.
Also, to be fair, I mean, you'd be
Not to
overwhelmed
cut
too.
these emotions short, but I think we've just lost our means of buying time.
Yes, we should start moving.
Ishta turns to you, wiping the tears from her face.
Is it time to go?
Is she still, like, breathing hard?
Yes, she's still trying to not cry.
I'll kneel down. She's smaller, right?
She's about 4'11". Oh, yes, smaller than you.
Yeah, I'll kneel down and ask if she's okay to make the trip.
She just nods. with a frown on her face, but in solidarity, and steps away from all of you. Pops puts a hand on your shoulder, Emery. I have a place that we can go.
Is anywhere safe from this?
If the wards will hold. And yes.
Is there no way we can stop this?
I need time to explain what this is.
Alright.
And he steps back, and the both of them assume their dragon form as the body stretches and loses its features, becoming these stretching, almost clay-like figures of light until they form their full natural size. And Emery, the head turns and extends downwards towards you of Silver Dragon and Sterark the Blue.
Oh boy. I'll turn to the rest of them before I get on. Brace yourselves before we lift off. And I'll climb up.
I'll do the same.
I'll do it. Sort of shaking my head in disbelief.
Should we discern which one we're getting on?
I was gonna say, yeah, is this like a
I'm
pick
gonna-
your
I'm
side
gonna-
kind of thing?
I'm gonna get on the silver one.
I'm going to get on with Sterark.
As close as to Sterrick as I've gotten, I don't want to either intrude on what just happened between him and the girl, and I don't want to strain her anymore, so I'll approach the Silver Dragon.
The Silver Dragon can carry more. Luvash makes his way towards the Silver Dragon as well. And each of you find seats almost between these ridge-like spines going along the neck, and just you find yourself in the space there.
I want to make it clear that I am behind Kalos just in case.
Wait, can you repeat? Got cut out for me.
Nope,
Oh,
it doesn't matter.
it doesn't.
Well, no, you being there does, but him hearing it doesn't, because it's not going to change this.
Frick.
Dang.
I need everybody to make a... Actually, your hands remember the spots from riding dragons before, Sterark. So you don't need to make a save. You know everywhere that's what you're supposed to do. But everybody else needs to make a strength saving throw.
Actually,
no,
I-
you would know as well.
Yeah.
Specifically, yes.
Yeah, but
Because of that, you would know, yes.
Wow.
Buddy.
Everybody on the Silver Dragon, somebody roll for Luvash. Strength saving throw.
I'll throw for Luvash.
18.
Luvash got an 11, and so did I.
11 total?
I got 11 total. Luvash got a flat 11.
Okay.
Stuff plus the stuff, and then I got a 19.
Cornelius, you see Nervek is looking like he's gonna fly off as the two dragons, with the sudden rush of wind across all of your faces, and then the very, very quick descent as they do a dive towards the ground to gain speed.
Am I able to help him, or
Yes, between you and Luvash, who also notices it and makes the save because he gets +6, is able.
Say, are we too preoccupied holding on, or are we just like watching this happen?
You between the both of you, you're able to, because you both have pretty good strength scores. So you almost go flying, but Cornelius and Luvash got your back, Nervek. And you begin to fly over the Ebonwood. And as you do so, you see something that you didn't see before. A out-of-place, large, opaque sphere that almost looks like the sky of how it's supposed to look when it's noon, which is out of place with how the sky looks now, which is just gray darkness everywhere above.
It would look natural if the world wasn't ending.
Yes, and for those of you from the High Elf side, that is where the Ring City is. So as you fly past it, you fly towards the northern mountains above the plains of Eidolon. Not Eidolon, sorry, Aeladon. Eleanor. Wow, I've been getting that wrong. So sorry. Plains of Eleanor. And make your way into the mountains just north of Eleanor. And Sterark, you recognize where you're going. You're going to the commune. And as you make your way towards the mountains, you see several portions of shattered ruins and peaks, as well as you're flying over, you, Sterark, recognize... Oh, God, give me a second. I'm going through a lot of notes that I've had prepped for a year. The ruins of Okra, where the Aarakocra people who have lived there for centuries are. And as you continue to make your way through the mountains, a few of you recognize the two large statues of where the time anomaly was oh so long ago, before all of this came to pass. And eventually, you find almost a cliffside with a very large cave entrance. And both of the dragons first, the silver followed by the blue, following the silver's lead, make their landing. What do you do? The heads descend down for you to get off.
I'll do so.
I will follow him. I'm going to go after him.
I'll dismount as well.
Uvash is fast to get off.
Boing.
Okay. Emery?
I do as well.
As each of you do, both of the dragons assume their humanoid forms, and Ishta rushes up to your side, Sterark, and kind of holds onto your arm, and as she does so, a memory flashes through once again of the first time she accompanied you to the commune of conclaves before. And as you're looking around at now the empty cliff sides and the dark fog on the horizon enveloping the Ebonwood, you see the ghostly images of your memory of the hundreds and hundreds of different dragons flying around this peak of all colors whenever a commune would take place. And you shake it off. As you look towards Ishta, you see her when she was just a young wormling, and she looks at you curiously as you look at her now in the moment, and you shake it all off. Pops leads the way until he reaches the mouth of the large cave entrance. And Sterark, Emery, both of you make history checks.
4.
2.
Something about the way that the entrance to this cave looks familiar, but you're not quite sure why. And as Pops makes his way forward, you see almost like a veil of shimmering, translucent gray energy that is transparent if you don't focus on it. Ripples as he passes through. And Emery, you feel the touch of silver in your chest sort of grow cold. It's never given you a feeling before, but you can feel a cold sensation that isn't bad. It's refreshing. Ishta passes through, and Sterark, as you approach, you feel something on the back of your left hand almost shock you, like energy just pulses through you, and you pass through it just fine.
Can I look at it?
Well, it's gauntleted.
Oh. I didn't think I had my big armor.
I believe
Wasn't I in leather?
I believe you said you put on your big armor for the big fight when you got your stuff.
You right.
Like
Oh,
you
dude.
you guys
Forgot.
weren't wearing the Wood Elven equipment. Or the High Elven equipment, you were all wearing your own things for the big battle.
Yeah, bongo dongos.
I mean, I don't have a terrible armor class anymore.
Yes.
Amen, brother.
Yes!
The big lads have the big AC back.
So, what do the rest of you do? Those who are on the opposite side of the entrance are Kalos, Luvash, Nervek, and Emery.
I pass through.
You walk up and are initially unable to, but then the sheen of light around you sort of forms this barrier as you pass through it forcefully, sort of. You don't meet resistance, but you can feel something off about your entrance.
Is Pop still like within like talking distance?
Yeah, he's just on the other side of the veil.
Is this okay?
Yes. It's fine.
I'll hesitantly continue to step through.
Seeing this, I'll try and push through and see how it goes.
You put your hand up against it and you feel the base of your neck sort of go off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you watch as this sort of just shadowy tendrils on the tips of your fingers that you put up to touch the veil cut into it and pass through.
Okay.
I guess I'll be the caboose, and I will try to pass through myself.
You get blasted back 10 feet.
Oh,
And Luvash does as well. And Pops looks at the both of you. And then looks at you, Emery. And then motions towards the barrier.
I was gonna ask if there was a way I knew how to bring someone else in.
Make a history check with advantage. Because the memories are fresh in your mind. What does Emery do? Are we getting any
Nat
audio?
20.
I walk
Ooh.
up to it.
And press a hand against it?
Yes.
You pass through with no resistance.
I walk through.
Sterak, you search the edges of your memory and you realize that only those that have been chosen and marked can pass. And you look over at Cornelius and Nervek and they haven't. They shouldn't have been able to. And then that's when it hits you. Shit. The wards are not as strong as they used to be. And you look towards Pops, and he realizes the same thing. And Pops steps back through the barrier and looks at both Kalos and you, Luvash. And he reaches down and holds out 2 slivers of silver and places it in each of your hands and just starts to push on the base of your back. We need to go quickly. The wards are weaker than they used to be. And he pushes the both of you through it. Initially, it does try and resist you, but you put the clasped hand around the sliver of silver, and the both of you pass through just fine. And as Pops moves in last, you see misty hands beginning to crawl over the edges of the cliffside.
Hold on, I just had a thought. Can I kind of tell what's going on with me right now? That it's not normal?
You can tell that it's not normal.
Back, it was kind of chaotic. Could I tell that I was helping with the shade worms before, back in the pool?
Yes.
Before we go any further, I'm gonna try to do the same thing to Kalos, just in case.
Okay.
Try to lesser restoration him.
So you reach over and you place a hand on Kalos, and Kalos, you start to evaporate.
Oh.
I will turn away, like I'll stop.
And as you pull your hand away, you realize that Kalos isn't physical.
I want to point this out.
What do I feel? Do I feel anything?
You feel normal.
Oh. Do I see that Cornelius is freaked out?
Everybody is freaked out, I bet.
Oh.
You started to evaporate, and and as he stopped touching you, your body just came all back together.
Oh.
Kalos, no.
I'm gonna look around everyone and say, what? What? I don't get it.
So I thought I would try the same thing that I did with Sterak and Luvash, but with Kalos, and that is not what I expected.
I mean, I feel perfectly fine. I mean, I don't know what the problem is.
We might not have time for this. Look.
And
point at
as
the
he
ship.
points, you also see cresting into vision the large copper mist dragon heading to the cliffside. And as Pop sees this, he begins to he stretches an arm out, and it becomes the length of his dragon arm and pushes you all back to the side, and his head morphs and changes, and he just unleashes his draconic breath at the ceiling, forming these crystals of ice, and just smashes them all and starts to cave in the top of it.
Okay, let's go.
And you all run. You run in the opposite direction until eventually massive boulders are all that are between you and the outside. And you are in a very, very large stone chamber. And in the direct center of it, you see a sort of stone table with a ring going all around the side. Oh, it's a ring, I mean, going all the way around with a space open in the center. Long since covered in dust, but untouched by the passage of time, Sterark and Kalos, you recognize this as the interior of the commune of conclaves, and all of the seats carved of stone around you, softly decorated with the flares and sigils and markings of the respective dragons. The seats for the Broodfathers, representatives, and leaders.
And back there, you said that was like thousands of years ago?
Yes,
Okay.
but this place seems to be untouched by the passage of time, save for the dust that has gathered.
Do I remember where I sat?
You make your way over towards Kilgornoth's seat. And you always stood at his right side.
I'm gonna look at the carved seat.
Make a wisdom save.
$16.
You are overwhelmed once again. What do each of you do?
Is Sterark physically, like, do I see him, overwhelmed? Like, how much is he showing?
Make an insight check.
Okay.
Cracking open a cold one.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, also very, very broken, maybe. If you can find out.
Because there's something wrong with my... Never mind. Okay.
I'm trying to keep my composure here. I'm trying to look stoic.
Yeah. Sorry. I just had to check something for a second. That is a unnatural 20.
Yeah, you can see that he's barely keeping himself together, but he has that sort of 1,000-yard stare.
I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna pat him on the thigh because, can't
Short.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna say, I'm so sorry, Sterark. This must be so difficult for you.
It's fine. We've got more important matters. I'll walk back to the group. Fists sort of clenched.
I'll follow behind, I guess.
Pops is reaching with his hands along the edges of the cavern looking for something.
Do I know of anything?
I would say because of your
On the
state, you
walls?
wouldn't be able to remember. You're not focused right now.
I'll go ahead and reach a hand out to Sterok. I don't know what's going on in your head right now. But at the very least, you're not alone right now.
I'll give a slight smile, a wry smile.
You gonna leave me hanging?
Oh, I didn't know you extended an arm out. You kind of cut off. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I'll accept
Oh, Mike,
it.
after everything we went through?
Yes, I accept your hand.
Nothing happens.
Oh, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was
Like a bro embrace.
I'm just saying nothing extraordinary happens.
Oh, of course.
I wasn't expecting it.
He's just
letting
trying
you
to
know.
comfort me, man.
Because right
I'm
now,
family.
every time
He starts to evaporate.
every time that Cornelius touches something was happening before. I'm just giving you the peace of mind.
Mr. Cornelius, I don't feel so good.
I knew it was coming when I used the word evaporate.
Oh man, yeah.
Every time I touch something, it explodes.
Well, Sterok, I don't know what you're going through, but I can guess that a lot of the folks that just died and are currently being attacked by the undead might have it worse. So if we could stop pussyfooting and figure out what the hell's going on, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
What's Emery
So-
doing right now? Just out of curiosity.
Looking around, taking it all in.
Fair. You were gonna say something, Nervek?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at Pops and so I think I heard him call you Pops. I'm not gonna try with the other name. You said you needed time to explain what was going on. Well, it seems for the moment we might have a little bit of time.
Yes. Oh, here it is. And you hear the sound of a very large thump, and the sound of stone scraping against stone as a stone doorway rolls to the side, similar to the Silver Dragon Enclave. And you peer in, and you see, well, Emery, you see a very, very familiar vault door.
Okay.
And he motions for everybody to pile into the room.
I'll do
go.
so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm gonna stick close to Ishta and
Ishta hasn't let
Kalos.
go of your arm this entire time.
Okay, good. Thank the lords.
She's staying very, very close to you. And as each of you pile into this room, the sliding circular door rolls back into place, and Pops sort of steps in front of everybody. I'm not sure how much time we have, so I will do my best to explain. Long ago, this place served as a meeting, a commune for the dragons.
when our numbers were plentiful, before the Dragon Wars. Before that time had come, the armies of the Abyss had marched on this land, similar to what is happening now. The old gods have abandoned us. And now, I fear we have little chance.
And he motions towards you, Emery, to step forward.
I do so.
Remove your bell.
I remove my bell.
And you hold it out. And he motions towards it.
This is a powerful relic. Long in times before any of you, when the armies of the Abyss, led by a man named Krianos, walked upon these lands, we were approached by a giant who asked the conclaves of our essence in order to commit our kind to this battle. The bells of dragonkind were forged. Many of us were lost to this conflict. But with the aid of those descended of the forgotten gods, the seals of Ildraneth were placed, and the horrors of our past were behind us. Now, it seems that these seals have been broken, and those who were descended of the gods are gone.
Cornelius, make a history check.
Oh, snap. That is a soft 20.
You're listening to what's going on. And I'll tell you when something happens, but he continues to speak.
For a very long time, a prophecy has existed, told to us through murals in ancient ruins from even before my time.
And when he says that, Cornelius, you remember going back to the place where you were found, in that sealed off stone chamber on that very pedestal. And as you remember this room, you see depicted along the walls ancient murals and ancient writing with pictures that have been scratched or etched into the cave walls.
There are dark times ahead of us. And without those who had committed to the seals, I am unsure of what will come to pass.
What is everybody doing? Very quiet.
I'm just thinking about stuff. Thinking thoughts.
Yeah, I'm just kind of a little confused.
So, do I remember the room vividly enough to where I can make any kind of correlations towards like the same prophecy? Or is it just making a connection?
You made the connection.
Kind of reminds me how I was born.
Do you say this out loud?
Yo.
No, that's why he made the voice.
Does anybody say anything? Pops is done talking.
So, is there anything we can do? Should we just...
What
We
options do we have?
Our options are few. It took the full force of all of our kin, as well as very powerful and ancient magics to defeat them before. But now, they hold our brothers and my family within their ranks. And if that traitor, Etiogosh, is among them, our chances of survival are few.
So it seems we have a losing battle.
Ishta is fiddling with your armor and trying to get her hands underneath sort of the arm portion that connects to the shoulder.
I'll sort of move around, like, trying to look at what she's trying to fiddle with. Anything?
Hello?
Okay. Sorry, technical issues.
Ah,
So, you can realize that she's trying to remove it, or at least try and get access to something, and then you realize something. Your armor is dormant. She's just trying to turn it on.
do I remember how?
Yes. And you reach forward with your left hand and press it into this groove on your chest, And as you do so, you twist your hand, and the metal shifts with it, almost like the turning of a key. And the dull gray color immediately springs to life with this deep sapphire blue color. And
Thank you for reminding me.
You feel this vibrant, just energy warm against you.
Yeah. I had almost forgotten. Thank you.
Pops grabs your shoulder, Emery. And speaks to everybody else.
I am unsure of who will still be out there. And if this is the end of times, then we must face it.
And he moves an arm over towards the vault door, and it begins to turn and shift, and metal rods begin to drop into the turning mechanism and begins to swing open. This 35-foot tall just vault door opens into this huge safe almost interior with thousands and thousands of drawers along every wall and mounds of gold and items just scattered about. You recognize this place, Emery. And Sterark, it seems sort of similar to Ishta's treasure hoard. And all of you begin to make your way inside.
I miss when this was just dwarves and orcs. Things were a lot simpler back then.